Hello. How are you? This is Els coming in from Bemis Crafty Corner. And I have a project for us today. It's this one. Yes, we're going to make a tag. No, don't click off. We're not making a tag. We're making this tag, and this tag is different, okay? So, cute little tag. It is 4.5 inches long and roughly 3 inches wide. And the thing with this little tag is, you put it in a pocket just like any other tag, except that this one has a little flap here on the back. If you open that up, inside, you will find multiple journal cards. You can put like 2 or 3 journal cards in here, depending upon how heavily decorated they are. And you just can fit them right in there, and then when you put this in a pocket, it just looks like a regular tag. So this is our project for today. I will get a supply list for you, and we're going to get started on putting this together. I will be right back. Supplies on this one are ink, dauber, glue, all the normals. You may want a corner rounder, circle punch, inch and a quarter, whichever you prefer. You may want to put an eyelet into your tag, so if you do, you're probably want something to cut your eyelet with, and some eyelets. You're going to want a scoreboard, some scoring tools, a pair of scissors, and you're going to want a couple of pieces of paper. The first one is a piece of cardstock, and that piece of cardstock measures 10 inches by 3.5, and a piece of decorated paper. I do recommend paper for this one. Because you're going to be putting it on here, so that's just going to make it bulky. And then, of course, some scrap paper for making your journaling cards for the inside. This piece should be 2.5 inches long, and you could just leave it the length so that we can cut it down. So let's start with our scoring and our cutting of this piece, okay? So we're going to score first. That means we're going to put our paper, our cardstock, into our scoreboard with the long side across the top, and we're going to make 2 scores on here. One at 4 inches, and then one down here at 8.5. And then it doesn't matter which way you turn this. You're just going to turn it so that the short side is across the top and your long side goes down the board. And we're going to come out 1, 2, 3, or 3/8 of an inch, and we're going to score down the side. Okay, then we're going to come over here, and we're either going to go 1, 2, 3 in, or 3 1/8, whichever works easier for you, and we're going to score that as well. That is all of our scoring. Okay, so now we have 9 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We need to cut paper for here. And we're going to be doing some folding, burnishing, and some hand cutting. So let's start with these pieces. Those are the 3 pieces we're going to be covering, and so that is where the other piece of paper comes in. And it is 2.5 inches wide, and we're going to make our first cut at 1 1/4. Then we're going to make one at 3 3/4. And then we're going to make one at 4 1/4. And that we can put away. So these are the 3 pieces we need for the outside. And you can go ahead and ink these if you want. If you're going to round the corners on your little flap, you're going to want to round the corners on this piece as well. But we're going to start by burnishing, folding and burnishing here now. We created a valley. We're going to turn it into a hill. And we're going to do this to all of our score lines. And once we have them all done, and our paper is all folded, we're going to do a little bit of cutting, okay? So we just get this last one burnished. All right, so now we're going to be doing some cutting. And we are going to cut away this piece, and this piece, and this piece, and this piece. We're only going to leave these long flaps on the top. So we're going to cut away the little flaps on the small piece, the little flaps in the middle, and we're going to leave those at the top. So just right here at the score line, we're going to cut up. And when we get to that score line, we're going to wedge. And we're going to wedge at the top. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to cut up the score line to the second score line. We're going to wedge and wedge at the top. So what we should be left with is a piece that looks like this. Kind of a big long rectangle with two side flaps, a long rectangle and a short one. Now if you're going to round corners, now's the time to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and round this one and this one. And then I'm going to round two corners on this as well, so that everything matches. Now I'm going to ink. Alright? So I'm going to ink this here, here, on the fold, here, you know, all the outside edges in the folds. I'm going to ink my paper all the way around. And then I'm going to ink these two pieces, okay? But before I do that, if you want to cut a slot in this one, now is the time to do that. Go ahead and line it up where it needs to be, and then cut your slot here. If you don't want to put a finger nip in here, you don't have to do that. But if you do want to put a finger nip in here, now is the time to do so. So I'm going to get this straight, right at the edge. I'm going to take the finger nip out. Okay? Now I can ink everything. So go ink everything, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so that leftover strip that you have after you cut two of these, we're just going to fold that in half. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but we do want to fold it in half, and then we want to glue that up. Because that is going to be our closure, and then we're going to glue this up, okay? So you're going to get out your ruler here and a pen or pencil, and you're just going to put a mark on here on the inside at 3/4 of an inch. Doesn't have to be, you know, very big, but you do want it there. And then you're going to put glue on this part up to that mark from the fold. And you're going to put glue on your side pieces, on both of your little side rails here. And then you're going to fold this over. Okay? So hold in your little flaps, glue this over, make sure you have it nice and lined up. And then use your bone folder to kind of press it all together. And we're going to give that just a second to dry. So while we're waiting for that, we can actually glue this piece down here. there. Okay. Now this top here is going to be a tag. So we're going to want to cut, you know, our little tag angle up here. So we're going to cut that. And then we're going to cut one on the other side. So that we have one on both sides. That's why we glued the inside, okay? Now, this piece is going to go right here, and you can see that it's going to, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring this all the way up, make sure that we have it all lined up elsewhere, and we're going to take our corners, and then when we put this down, it's going to match up the way we want it to. Now I'm using glue, but of course you can use tape. This is a non-stress area. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to line it up side to side, bring it all the way to the top, and then just trim these off. And then when we add our glue and move it down, it'll be in the right place. And our angles will match. That's a bonus, right? Alright, so now, got that glue on there. Set that there. I am going to clean up this mess, give this a second to dry, and I'll be back, and we're going to work on cutting the tags for the inside and putting the fastener on and all of the other hardware. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this is dry, and we have our little piece that we glued up, and the reason that we did this was so that we, or me, can cut a half circle out. I love the way that flies, don't you? And that's going to be our closure. So let's get one of these. And we're going to come up to the top, and we're going to find the middle. This is 2 5/8. So this will roughly be my middle. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and poke a hole. I'm going to put a hole in there. Right there. And then on this side, this is the front of your tag. So that's the side you're going to be putting your eyelet in. This eyelet does not want to go in the hole. Oh, well, I guess it helps if you actually put it on the hole. Okay. There we go. Alright. Hold. Eyelet. Did I use the right side of the punch? I did. 3/16. There we go. Just didn't want to go in. All right. It's probably just my hands, you know? All right, so I'm going to set that. And then we're going to come to the back here. And this is where our little latch is going to go. So I'm going to put some glue on this. Just on the straight edge here. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it just barely covering. Okay? And we want it kind of in the middle and straight. Alright. And then I'm going to put, you know, some clamps on the edges here, which barely reach. And I'm going to let that dry, so I'm going to set that off to the side. And we are going to cut some journaling cards to go inside here. So I'm going to get all this picked up and I'll be right back. Okay, so when we look at this, we know that we put glue at a 1/2 inch. So the overall length here is about 4.5. So we know we can go about 3 3/4 tall and about 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut some of these down to that. 2.5 by 3 3/4. Let's see. And that looks like it'll probably fit, but I'm going to check. I'm going to be real careful here because I don't want to tear that up. Just going to slide this in and check. Now see, it's not going to go. It's going to be a little too long. So we've got this at 3 3/4. We're going to take it back to 3.5. So 2.5 by 3.5. And then I want to add just a little color to the front. So I'm going to go at 3 1/4 by 2 1/4 and make some mats to put on here. And I'm going to round all of these corners. So let's round those now. And then the flowers on the piece are white, so I decided to use some white flowers. So I'm going to get this out of the way. Get this, take this. All of this we'll push over here for now. Okay. All right, so we're letting that sit. We're going to ink this up. And this is just some Recollections cardstock, just cream colored. We're just gonna put a little ink. Not my best ink job, but you know, hey. And we'll do a little on here. This one. And then we're going to glue these down. Okay, there's one. And then we'll do the other one. So I'm going to do 2 journal cards in here. Now I could put more if I wanted to, but And this is actually going to be the back of my journal card where you can write. Okay, so there's that one. And then we're going to ink the fronts. Do a little more ink. Now I could just put beige journal cards in here too. Okay, so here's my little journal cards, and I've got some little white flowers. This one. That on there. And we'll put this one over here. Just like that. And then, you know, if we want to add a little something else, we can add a little something, you know, little pearls or something, little flat gems or something on these if we want to. And these are going to go in here. Just like that. And then this goes right up underneath there. And we need to put some string or something on the top of this. So let me grab my string. Get a little bit here. Let me take that off because that looks horrible. Okay. I'm just going to tie a knot here in the end. Put that through. Draw that up, and there you go. So now I can take this and put it, you know, in a pocket in my journal, and it looks just like a regular tag. And when you turn it over, you open it up, you have 2 journaling cards, or 3, tucked inside. Okay, so that's my little project for today. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that button for me and subscribe. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. I go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 11, 12, and 1 across the country. And I post videos on Mondays and Wednesdays and whenever I feel like it. I am doing 2 things in 2022, the first of which is my hashtag 12 of 22 journal challenge. And if you'd like more information about that, just hit the link in the description box below. It'll take you over to a slideshow, tells you all about it. And I am doing free classes in 2022, and the way to find out about those is when you subscribe and you ring that bell. Make sure that you hit all so that you get the notifications when the classes get released. Those classes are released on Saturdays, and then the day that they're released, I go live that afternoon and walk you through any questions you may have regarding the lesson that we did. That's it. That's all I have for you. Until the next time, stay well. Bye-bye.